Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Rain Check here on WLNS Plus. I'm meteorologist Kendall Wilson, joined by meteorologist Cole Engle.
Hey, what's up? First show.
Your first Rain Check episode. How excited are you?
I'm so excited. We have so many good things to talk about for this episode. So.
Yeah, and they're all, of course, we're in the winter season, so they're all winter related. You love winter. You love snow.
I do.
I'm curious about how you felt about this cold weather that we've been dealing with recently, though.
No, because you can't enjoy the snow if it's this cold.
That's a good
not a
point.
fan. Not a fan.
Yeah, so that's going to be our first topic today. I mean, we have been dealing with some bitterly cold temperatures here in mid-Michigan for, a week, 2 weeks almost now?
Yeah, I think, I got to remember the date, but it's been over a week since we've been above freezing.
Exactly, and just bitterly cold temperatures, and just, it hasn't been fun.
Yeah, it's been miserable.
To deal with. It hasn't been fun for us to forecast it. And just take a look. These are some of the morning lows that we had across mid-Michigan. The morning of January 23rd. In Lansing, the lowest wind chill report that we had was 23 degrees below zero. Ludington, 30 degrees below zero. That's one of the coldest reports, in fact, that I was able to find from the National Weather Service from that morning.
Okay. Yeah, no, and it's funny, too, because Ludington usually stays a little bit warmer because they're on the lakeshore.
But and you get that wind, breeze coming off.
Yeah, but knocks that wind chill right down.
I mean, just dealing, these are dangerous numbers that you have to kind of endure. I mean, in conditions like this, frostbite could have occurred in 15 minutes or less in some locations based on, if you have any unprotected skin or exposed skin outside.
Right, exactly. And something that's important to know is it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
Off to the north and west, Wisconsin, Minnesota, it was negative 50?
Yeah, they had wind chills anywhere between negative 45 to negative 50 degrees. So, but even that, that's 15, 20 degrees cooler compared to what Ludington was dealing with.
Right.
To at that point, I'm not going outside anyways.
Right, yeah.
Might as well.
Exactly.
But it wasn't just, of course, the wind that we had to deal with. We also had snow on top of that, which is why, I mentioned that frostbite time, because you had to go outside. And some of our locations in mid-Michigan actually saw some shovelable snow.
Yeah, off to the south and east. And in some places here in, mid-Michigan, too. Lansing, 2.5 inches, just enough.
Yeah, just enough. And this wasn't, a huge major system that we had to deal with in terms of snowfall. It was kind of really the cold weather that affected us the most. But still, 3.5 inches from, just over a weekend span in Jackson, 3.6 over in Bellevue. That's still a decent amount of snow. Right. And then you tack on those cold temperatures, and it's just kind of a recipe for disaster.
It really is. I mean, those roads.
They were pretty bad. Cole was outside. Remind me when this was taken. It was over the weekend, but there were still several crashes.
Yes, this was Sunday nights.
Yeah.
Delaney, one of our editors, heard on the scanner that there was I think there was a vehicle on fire that was northbound on 127.
Okay.
So her and I went out there to go see if we could, look at it, and we didn't see that. But when we were going down, we were going southbound 127, and there was just slide off after within the span of a few minutes. It was unbelievable.
And it's because, again, we had all of that snow with these cold temperatures. So obviously our wind chills over the weekend were, anywhere between negative 10 to 20, 30 degrees below zero.
Right.
But our air temperatures were also incredibly chilly. Over the weekend, we're talking highs in the single digits.
Yeah. And
at that point, any salt you put on the road is basically useless.
You're right. It's just not effective. And, that's something that's really important with people is, people would say, why are, they not salting or anything? But it's because, they can put all that salt down. And like I said, it's not going to do anything because it's just so cold that salt is just not effective at all.
Yeah. And we are in a salt shortage in the state of Michigan. So that also, I believe, kind of played a role in the fact of why Lansing, in fact, they didn't salt the roads over the past several, rounds of snow that we had because, again, that salt wouldn't have done anything. So, I understand that you might as well conserve it at a certain point.
You might as well. And something that's, I think the city didn't even plow, too.
Really? Okay.
And I think that wasn't that part of the statement that the city put out too? Yeah, it was something because having that little bit of snow on the roads adds that traction.
Yeah.
Which is really important.
Yeah. And, Cole went through and he kind of dug through some data of that press release that they sent out. And, you noted that the city actually said that they were reapplying chloride, sand, and a salt mixture to kind of add traction.
Right.
Because, you can't use that salt. So there has to be something that you can do to help these people.
Right. Yeah. And something about that's interesting about that, was it salt chloride mix? Yeah. The chloride actually lowers the freezing point for the refreezing process.
Oh, okay.
But still, when temperatures are still that cold, it's just still not effective. That just tells you anything.
And it was kind of this 1-2 punch that we had to deal with, in a sense of you have the salt shortage, you have these bitterly cold temperatures, you have the snow on top of that. I wouldn't be surprised if vast majority of people just stayed inside over the weekend.
Yes, that's definitely the smart decision too. Because what you were saying with the wind chill being under 15 minutes at times, it's just, we have not had anything like this in quite some time, Kendall. It is cold out there. And the stretch of cold air that we've had too. It's not just a 1 or 2 day thing. It's been, over the past week.
It's just been this kind of prolonged stretch of ugh. Yeah. That's the only way I think I can describe it, is just ugh.
And trying to go on air and talk about it too. It's just rinse and repeat. Another day of bitterly cold temperatures, but
I don't mind feeling like a broken record in the summer when it's 70, 80 and
good
sunny.
Weather, yeah.
Every single time that we have to write a negative sign when we, do our forecast sheets and everything, I think a little part of me just, kind of cries every single time.
Right.
But I will mention there is some relief on the way.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah, there is some good news. We've been dealing with, overnight lows, single digits below zero, high temperatures, single digits, mid to low teens.
Yeah.
As we move into next week, our overnight lows are going to be in the mid to low teens.
Ooh, progress.
I know, we got a little heat wave.
Yeah. Get your shorts and t-shirts ready, everyone, because it's going to be in the 20s as high temperatures.
I think we mentioned this the past couple of episodes too, where it's always kind of a psychological thing that I have to overcome, where the warmest high temperature I think I had in the 6th day was 26 degrees. And we're recording this on January 28th, but still 26 degrees is what we have to look forward to. And that's warm to us at this point.
And when that day comes and it's 26 degrees outside, it will feel phenomenal. Because our bodies have adjusted to just, single digits the past few days, negative single digits at times, especially with the wind chills and everything. So I feel like once that day actually comes, it's going to feel really nice.
I hope so.
We'll take what we can get.
We need some relief. And it just it always feels very weird to me when we're on air and, I love Kirk Montgomery, but every single time I'm like, hey, Kirk, we have a high of 26 degrees in the forecast. He's still that's what we have to look forward. And I know, but we got to take what we can get.
Right,
at this
exactly.
point.
Especially as us, forecasters, we gotta find the silver lining in things, and that's a silver lining is a high of 26. So
it's also kind of hard for me personally, not being that much of a fan of winter, to actually get excited about a high of 26.
Right.
That's a little
just compared to what we've had.
Yeah, but it was worse, like you mentioned earlier. In other parts of the countries, we weren't the only ones dealing with these cold weather alerts, the cold weather advisories or extreme cold warnings. There was one day where we had cold weather alerts extending from north to south, as far south as southern Texas and Louisiana.
Right.
Over 213 million Americans Friday morning were under some sort of cold weather advisory.
And that's... is that more than 2/3 of the country? That is
more than 2/3 of the country.
Unbelievable. And if that just gives you any idea of the cold weather that we've been having, and it's probably hasn't been as cold, in those locations, but compared to their averages, it's just, it's kind of like us. We're sitting 30 degrees below average when we have highs in the low single digits, like we've been having. It's just,
because there's a criteria for every set of alert that the National Weather Service puts out. For severe thunderstorm warnings, it's, 60 mile per hour winds or above, quarter-inch size hail or larger, or the potential for tornadic activity. But for things like cold weather alerts, just winter alerts in general, it changes based on county. It changes based upon state.
Right.
So for us in mid-Michigan, we'll get a cold weather advisory whenever our wind chills are forecasted, negative 20, negative 25 degrees. Extreme cold warnings if it's below 25 degrees for our feels like temperatures for 3 hours or more.
Right.
But that's not going to be the same criteria that they use down in Texas.
Right.
Like you said, it's just way colder than what their average is, what they're typically used to.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because I'm sure if you're in Florida and your meteorologist goes on air and is forecasting wind chills negative 25 degrees, you're going to feel like you're in the twilight zone.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So it is important that I think we mention that.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't even imagine. I feel bad for people that are like, I'm going to go to Florida to escape this cold weather. Because they because they're getting it too. I mean,
it's like Florida has temperatures like near the freezing mark, or
on the panhandle. You have to get pretty far south into Florida to just narrowly escape those colder temperatures. Like even highs in the 50s, which sounds great to us, but for those in Florida,
they're like, come on, we can use it. Yeah,
right.
So we had these cold weather advisories extending over the vast majority of the country. I think it was really only those west of the Rockies that didn't have to experience this Arctic air.
Yep.
But we mentioned it earlier, too. Wind chills over in portions of North Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin were a lot colder compared to what we even saw.
Yes. And that's why I like to say it could always be worse because it truly could. We could be experiencing that, but we have a little bit of help from the Great Lakes. Keep us just, slightly warmer. Not too much compared to...
Well...
Like
North Dakota had a wind chill of negative 54 degrees late last week.
Yeah.
So thankfully we weren't that cold, but also, I'm sure you saw it over social media. I know I had it sent to me. I know my family members were talking about it. There was a social media post going viral basically saying because of how cold the air temperatures and wind chill temperatures were supposed to be in a certain part of the Midwest, they were looking at the potential for exploding trees.
Yes.
We got to talk about it because, no. Simply put, no, that's not a thing.
Well, it was Wednesday morning. I was filling in for Katie, and Kirk said something to me. He's like, yeah, I saw something that it's going to be cold enough for trees to explode. And I was like, Kirk, what?
No. So
I was like, what are you talking? And so that's when I, looked it up. I was like, oh, no. And it blew up. I mean...
And it's one of those things to where, again, my parents always told me, don't trust everything you see on the internet. Don't trust everything you see on social media. This is a perfect example because, trees don't explode. There's a much more logical explanation behind it, right?
Yes. There is is it frost cracking? Is that the correct term? It's just simply put, the water and the sap that's in the trees, like any other process, they freeze when temperatures drop to that, negative 20, negative 30. And so, so just by natural process, the sap is going to freeze and expand and,
crack the tree.
Yeah, crack the tree. Not explode.
No.
We did have a little bit of fun the other day looking at AI-related videos of
because
trees
I was
exploding.
like, okay, let me just really kind of dive into this. Like, what if? Yeah. What if I don't know something? And every single thing, when I looked up exploding trees on Facebook, Google, wherever I went, was AI generated, which also you need to be careful about just in today's day and age in general. Yeah. But this idea of frost cracking is a lot more common than what you would think. We were talking about a couple of real world examples. So, this past weekend, I didn't have the brightest moment. I left my energy drink that I usually take to the gym in my car. So Saturday morning, left it in there, took a couple sips, left it in there basically all day Saturday, all day Sunday. Monday morning, I came back and the drink, essentially because it froze and expanded, overflowed and is now all over my cup holders. But it's kind of, again, that real world example of this is a natural thing. Think about if you keep a Coke bottle or a can of Coke. If you were to keep that in your car over the weekend, it would have also exploded.
Right.
You had something similar happen.
Very similar. So when I go to the gym, I use liquid chalk just, to give myself more grip for when I lift weights. And I left that container in my car over the weekend when it was bitterly cold outside. And when I opened it in the gym, it went everywhere. And of course, chalk is a mess. So I was like trying to like wipe it, like, just wipe it off my backpack, just like trying to like, hopefully no one sees me.
I'm sure there is video somewhere, and I'm going to try and find it for everyone.
Bad. Like, it just went everywhere. And I was like, okay, I can't use this for the rest of my workout. And so at least I know now. Yeah. Not to do that again.
You live and you learn.
Yeah.
And now people at home, you can live and learn too, that trees don't explode.
Yep.
It's just kind of this idea of frost cracking.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you don't have to worry about, going for a walk and boom.
And then a tree to
your left just all of a sudden. No.
Yeah, no, not going to happen.
No. But there were other parts of the country that did have to deal with some severe conditions, not exploding trees, but this cold air mass that we had traveled far enough south to where it met up with a very powerful, actually two powerful areas of low pressure that extended and traveled almost 2,000 plus miles across the country.
Yeah, all the way from Texas up to Maine. I mean,
it's insane.
Yeah, and that for frozen precipitation too, all the way down. Yeah. I think Houston had even a little bit of freezing rain towards the end.
I mean, you had snow, you had freezing rain. This is a look at some of the snowfall totals from Texas and Oklahoma. Tulsa, almost 7.5 inches of snow that far south.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like that's unheard of.
Dallas and Waco, 2.5 in Dallas, inch in Waco. Waco is like middle Texas, so it's getting pretty far. And that's stuck on the ground. Yeah. And I was showing you that satellite. There was a satellite image, and it showed half of Texas covered in snow. That is something you just do not see ever.
So this was kind of like a freak storm that we saw. My sister, she's over in New York City. She sent us a little video of a snowfall report from there. It was actually pretty cute.
Yeah.
But her area, she's on Manhattan, 14.9 inches of snow. Like, it was insane, the kind of conditions that this system brought. And it wasn't just snow. There were some portions of the country that actually saw a lot of icing, in fact.
So, actually, I have some family members down right in the middle of Tennessee, just south of Nashville. And I forced my aunt to take some video for us. So, right in the beginning of the storm, Nashville actually had a little bit of snow. You can see it in there. It was flying there. You can see with the pool in the background.
But there, you can see the ice. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it transitioned over to ice, and it was a mess. I'm not sure how bad their neighbor. I mean, she does show a little bit in the video, some branches and stuff that fell in their neighbor's yard, but I think other neighborhoods had it a lot worse.
Well, probably. I think the last number that I saw, there were, hundreds of thousands of power outages. Most of them, unfortunately, were in parts of Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, and South Carolina, where they had an inch of ice actually accumulate, which ice is another thing where I feel like it's very hard to conceptualize the impacts accumulations can have.
Yep.
So I have some fun facts for you. Did you know a quarter of an inch of ice can weigh anywhere between 100 to 500 pounds?
Yeah.
So that means a quarter of an inch of ice can weigh as much as a large adult male lion or grizzly bear, a large refrigerator, or a grand piano. Like, can you imagine, like a quarter of an inch of ice, a grand piano sitting on a power line? Like, you're going to lose power. But when we're forecasting it, I feel like sometimes people at home, a quarter of an inch of ice. Yeah. But it's it can be pretty bad.
And that's a quarter of an inch of ice. Yeah. And there's some locations that got to an inch.
Yeah.
So, way more than that.
And it's insane.
Yeah.
An inch of ice. I feel like you're going to really love this one.
Ooh, we got another one?
Yeah.
Ooh.
749 pounds to 1,000 pounds. So that could be the equivalent of a small European bison, a large male American alligator, or anywhere from 13 to 18 golden retrievers. That was by far my favorite conversion that I looked up. That an inch of ice was like 13 to 18 golden retrievers. Full-size golden retrievers.
That is awesome. No, but that just goes to show,
But imagine that sitting in a tree.
Yeah.
So
all that weight.
And this was over multiple states that they had these conditions. Yeah. It was
Yeah, it wasn't just
absolutely
Tennessee.
insane.
It was like northern Mississippi got it pretty bad too.
Some parts of Georgia it wasn't as bad for people that I knew. They are northwest of Atlanta. But still, some parts of Georgia had some ice accumulations as well.
Yep. Yeah. And just, I mean, the sheer area, usually like if we do have an ice event, it's relatively small. But this, I mean, the coverage was just unreal. And another thing, too, about this event is we had colder air that came in behind the system. And usually with these southern states, if they get ice like this, it melts pretty quickly because, they're closer to the Gulf. They're going to have, quicker to warm and melt everything. But that wasn't really the case with this system because it sat on the trees for quite some time.
It was just, I feel like, again, I can only compare it to like I was in a twilight zone where, you're looking at these forecast models and just how massive this system was.
Yeah.
And to see cold weather alerts extending from, Minnesota, North Dakota, down through Texas, Louisiana, all the way off to the Northeast, and then to also see multiple winter storm warnings, winter storm watches, ice storm warnings, expanding over almost all of the central to eastern portions of the United States. I mentioned it before. It was only those west of the Rockies that I think really were able to escape the impacts from this.
Yeah, if you looked at the map for all the, advisories, warnings, watches from the National Weather Service, it was very colorful because you had all the, it wasn't just, the cold weather alerts. It was, that for the snow and the ice and just everything,
it was just
very colorful.
Insane. And I mean, normally I feel like it's not uncommon for a system to start in Texas and then eventually bring us snow and go, over into the Northeast over the course of multiple days.
Yes.
This happened over like 36 hours.
Yeah,
so
it was
2
quick.
days.
Yeah.
And it was quick, but it was also massive.
Right.
The area, the coverage that the system actually had over the U.S.
Yeah, I remember looking at the radar on, I believe, Sunday morning, and there was already snow entering, the Northeast, like Washington, D.C., starting to get into New York City, and there was still the back edge of the precipitation over Texas. So you were talking from Texas all the way up to the Northeast. Someone was getting some type of precipitation, more likely to be snow or freezing rain or rain off to the south. But still, I mean, something you just don't see very often.
You don't see very often. And I feel like for us, it was also in Michigan, we were on the lucky side, quote unquote, when it came to forecasting, because we didn't have to think about various precipitation types.
Yep.
Places to our south, North Carolina, Georgia, South Carolina, Kentucky, all of these places, they had to think about, okay, well, is it going to be snow?
Yes.
Or is it going to be sleet or freezing rain?
Right. Yeah, and that's my aunt actually texted me a few days before the storm hit them because that's when models were a little bit more southern with the snow originally, and so like Nashville was one of the places that was seeing upwards of a foot of snow, and just watching that model by model run and just seeing it slowly creep to the north and being like, oh, this looks good. It'd be more like an ice event, and that totally changes everything because then you're looking at a whole different type of precipitation impact, right in.
And also not just the impacts in general, but the longevity of those impacts too.
Right.
Because if you have snow, okay, you plow the road, shovel your driveway, shovel the sidewalk. If you have ice accumulations and you're without power, you don't know how long it's going to take for your power to be restored based on how widespread your outages are, conditions post-storm as well.
Yeah.
And then also you still have these extremely cold temperatures to deal with.
Right. And then another thing with ice too is there's a cleanup after. I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen the pictures in the Tennessee Valley, but some of those trees are just absolutely destroyed. And I'm sure it's going to take some time for them just to, and the power lines too. I mean, that's going to take a lot of time for, all those people to get power back. And I can't even imagine. So yeah, I would say we were on kind of the lucky side just because it could have been way worse in mid-Michigan.
And again, it's kind of that thing of, I know somebody's at home. They're like, Kendall, Cole, wind chills of 25 degrees below zero. I don't know if we're that lucky. I understand it.
Right.
I 100% do. It's just this system, weird. That's the only way that I can describe it. Because even going into, when the system was actually developing on Saturday morning.
Yep.
models were still kind of changing.
Yeah, there was not
up until the last minute.
The agreement was not there, and which makes forecasting extremely difficult for meteorologists, especially North Carolina was one of those places. I think they were supposed to see a lot more freezing rain, and that just didn't happen for them.
But thankfully so.
Yes, exactly, right.
I understand that, like, maybe you prepared for this and, you have somebody saying, hey, yeah, it could be bad, it could be this, it could be this, that, and the third. But it wasn't.
Right.
And I think that's the real thing that I hope people take home is like, yes, the forecast can always change. As much as I love to be right, and I'm sure you do, and everyone on our weather team and every meteorologist in general does, I would rather be wrong and have it play out better than be wrong and have it be worse.
Oh, 100%.
So at least it was kind of...
Especially with ice.
In that sense, yeah.
I mean, snow's one thing. I know people that love snow, but who likes ice?
Not me.
I mean, yeah, that's just, I don't know.
This was just such a messy system, messy cold air. I swear every single time I go out and I start my car, I'm like, all right, is today going to be the day? Because it just makes the most, last Friday, when kind of like that really significant cold air mass moved in, and then even into Saturday morning, I think when I woke up and was going to the gym, pre-disaster with my energy drink, it just made the most atrocious noise. Yeah. And I was like, alrighty, if this gets me out the gym today, I won't be mad.
But yeah, no, the weather we've had the past few weeks, it's definitely been, it's something people are going to, especially with all the school closings we've had. I mean, I don't know exactly the number, like for Lansing, for example, I don't know the exact number, but like it's up there. I mean, they got to be hitting their limit pretty soon.
And don't you think it's crazy that we started this month off with record-breaking high temperatures, and now we're finishing it off with significant cold?
Yeah, and we must just be paying the price. Because, we hit 60, I think it was on January 10th?
Yeah, I think it was the 8th, 9th, or 10th, somewhere around there.
And we got it was really early in the morning. And,
it felt glorious.
Yeah, for those who were up early, because again, it got super cold that, the rest of that day. But yeah, now we're just paying the price for that little bit of warmth that we had.
But remember, there is some relief on the way. By the time we get into next week, it's going to feel a lot warmer.
Summer.
So just a couple more days that we have 20s. To get through, thankfully.
Yes.
And then hopefully in the next week's episode of Rain Check, which hopefully you will tune into, we'll have some more good news to share with the temperatures and overall conditions as well.
Hopefully they just keep going up.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed at least.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us. We hope to see you again next week too.